Oh, it is the Matt Mosley show, and we're off and running 1 o'clock today, taking you to about 3 o'clock. I don't know. We may do some holiday hours, special holiday hours. The Rogue Media Network Christmas party has come and gone. There is a chance that I never received an invitation to that party. I understand it was a good time was had by all. I hope Scotty and Pete and others were able to stop by and really take part in the Yuletide cheer and the Yuletide joy. There was no joy in Mudville here. It was just staying home. Actually, last night we waited till our freshman and college daughter made it home 2 days ago, and then last night we decorated the tree, and that was a blessed event. I tend to be called upon for certain things, like topping the tree, putting the star on top of the tree. This was met with, I would say there was some criticism. Didn't do a great job. Had a little trouble bunching the top of the tree up. We do have and I hate to say it, I have been a proponent over the years of the actual real Christmas tree. Years ago, though, in marriage, I was introduced to the artificial tree that is pre-lit, and once you go that route, it's tough to accept. But once you do that route and just kind of can get that tree out, put it up, and then have all the lights actually work, it's about I got the bottom unit, the second, and then I think the top, and you've got to jam these things together, assemble that part of it, but they stay. All the lights are already on the tree, and then the tree just lights up, and it's, occasionally some of them will not come on, and I'll have to mess with it and turn it around and do some things, but it'll usually end up working. And that's the tree now. And and again, I've done the whole thing where you go out to the Christmas tree farm and you saw the tree down. And I think for families and people that like going on hay rides and that type of thing, where they take you out to cut the tree down, I see the value in that. I think for young families, that is something you got to look to, but we're past that. Okay. And who knows, there may be grandkids someday, and maybe that process will start all over. But for now, I think the pre-lit tree is the way to go. So Merry Christmas to everybody as we get closer. Today, I believe, is the 18th, and that means we're closing in on the college football playoff games tomorrow night. We've got Alabama and Oklahoma get it on in Tuscaloosa. I've been looking and reading, Scotty, about things in terms of how can Alabama fix its offense? How can it get going again? And of course, apparently when Alabama loses to OU, it's not because of anything, it's just OU had a bunch of takeaways, but Alabama really controlled the game. That's what people wanted you to believe. That was when they were trying to get Alabama into this playoff. It was almost like Alabama just accidentally lost to OU at their place, at home, I might add. And somehow, some way, and I find it interesting right now, and thank you to all our, Scotty has us on Twitter Premium. That's how Mosley ended up with the old blue check mark back. I did not want it back in my life, but it has come back into my life. I do think, gosh, tomorrow is Friday. As we get closer to the hallowed day, and trying to prepare you for the Christmas day, we're not going to do a show on Christmas Eve, and then we'll be off Christmas Day. From there on, I don't know what to tell you. I do think we'll have some time off right around the new year. All right. I did notice. I think Rogue is closed the 1st through the 4th, if you can believe it. So there'll be some time there, and of course, I'll be wanting to react to all the college football playoff. And so I may find a way. To circumvent. Scotty and I may just go rogue, no pun intended, and we'll find our way. But good stuff. We do have a major Texas A&M insider who will join us today at 2 o'clock. Travis Brown is our longtime A&M insider. He was with the Eagle, the newspaper there in Bryan College Station, and then he is now with KBTX. He's with a TV station, but he still writes and does all his reporting. Major insider for Texas A&M, and he'll be joining us at 2:00 today. We got a lot on the agenda. Scotty, let's get right to it, though, with our breaking news to start the show. Major breaking news on the Cowboys front. All right. It kind of almost that sound makes me want, Scotty, I've been watching some of Rob Reiner. We had the horrible deaths of Rob Reiner and his wife. And so something about that sound, though, makes me think of The American President, the movie American President, which he directed. That was a good one. That was a good one. Michael Douglas as the president. I still think Jeremiah Bartlett, I think I really think West Wing, that was my favorite portrayal of the presidency. But the movie American President and by the way, I think that was also written by Aaron Sorkin, the same guy who did West Wing. The man's good at politics, good at writing politics. If you're Scotty's age and you kind of missed out on the heyday of West Wing, Scotty actually would have been in college probably when West Wing was at its zenith, or actually pre-college. That would have been high school for him. That's a good rewatch. You want to go back and watch that. But anyway, that news sounder makes me think of politics, makes me think of all of that. The breaking news, though, is on the Cowboys front. And no, Matt Eberflus has not been fired, the Cowboys defensive coordinator, but he has been cast up to the booth. He's been sent up to the press box. He will no longer be on the sideline the rest of this year. Cowboys trying everything. And on Sunday at noon, the great Eberflus will ascend. This is not the Ascension. This is the Eberflus's. He'll float right up there to the press box, and he'll call these last three games from the press box. This is what desperation looks and smells like. This reeks of desperation. This is a final last gasp effort to get something out of Eberflus. Cowboys will have their fourth defensive coordinator in as many years. I mean, it's hard to believe the fourth one incoming, and unless there's some kind of great finish to the season. If they win the last three and the defense plays a lot better, I suppose he has a chance. Do I expect that to happen? Do I expect them at noon Sunday to come out and slow down Justin Herbert? I do not. But that's when you get to a rough end of the season, when that becomes the big news of the day, that the defensive coordinator is still calling plays, but he's just going to call it from the coaching booth. Give me a break. I mean, it's not going to be a huge change. But Eberflus saying today, quote, "This is the NFL. Everybody is being evaluated throughout the whole league. That's part of the job. Does he need a vote of confidence from the front office?" He said, "I don't look for a vote of confidence." That to me is like kind of a hypothetical deal there. So again, it's about doing your job. I know this is the NFL. We got to do a good job this week and focus on that. That's where our feet are. Wow. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. Matt Eberflus coaching at the end of his time, probably as the defensive coordinator. Cowboys can't find answers there in the aftermath of Dan Quinn. It's not gone well. And, I find it interesting how perspectives change. This fan base was so ready for Mike McCarthy to be gone. I think Scotty Swingler probably was ready for McCarthy to be gone. Last night, late, what I tend to do is gather around and, see after everybody's asleep in the house, after most of America has gone to sleep, I'm like a vampire. I am up checking things, looking at things. And I thought I was amused as I looked at a list of the top 30 coaches, the top 30 candidates for head coaches in the NFL. Scotty, I'll just let you know that the great Mike McCarthy, who everybody was ready to see go, was number two on the list of the best head coaching candidates in the NFL. Mike McCarthy. And you go, well, why would that be? Why is McCarthy? Because he's the only one out there that's won a Super Bowl, the only one out there on the street. Because remember, Pete Carroll is with the Raiders, as bad as he is. All right. And of course, I thought it was interesting that they had the man that's coaching for the Tar Heels, Bill Belichick, arguably the greatest NFL coach ever, is number 30. He's number 30 right now on the best coaches available. That's how far he's fallen on that. But I always find that interesting that you can't wait for a coach to be gone. And now Mike McCarthy is viewed, at least by some, and this was the Ringer. They do a good job. I like their NFL stuff. They had Mike McCarthy, the second best coach available. Now, and some of the people you would expect were on there. Some of the good coordinators, the coordinator of the offensive coordinator of the Rams, offensive coordinator on the Seahawks. And by the way, they're playing tonight. Find your subscription. Make sure you're streaming Amazon Prime. Get to a bar where they do stream Amazon tonight. The Seahawks and the Rams get it on, and the Rams got in there really late last night. Had some flight delays. They made it in last night, and so they will get ready to play on Thursday Night Football. This is a big one because the winner of this game will have the inside track to the number one seed in the NFC. So lots of exciting times this time of year. When I was in radio for years in Dallas and was on the radio for about 10 years, everybody this time of year, everybody would just take off. And it was the backups. And back in the day when I was more of viewed as a backup radio guy, this is when we had our time to shine. And I always thought it was so strange that at this massive time of the year, and you've got college football, you've got bowl games, you would hope the Cowboys are in the playoff race. We would all be told, go ahead and take 2 weeks here. Go ahead and take 2 weeks of vacation right here around the holidays. It's okay. That's okay. I get that people do it. Here at Rogue, we're not going to do that. We're going to keep going right there with you. I also thought it would be fun today, Scotty, to look at this. Those of us who are longtime Baylor people, Baylor graduates, Baylor season ticket holders, and then even those of us in the grizzled media have been given a end of the year survey to take about going out to McLean Stadium. And I know people are listening to us both on Twitter and on the YouTube channel. If you are finding us on Twitter today, we would like to invite you to go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And we got more and more people. We got people asking questions. I think this is one where people will want to weigh in because Scotty's done a great job and he was sent this too. We're going to look at some of the questions on this survey, and then we're going to let our people participate if you would like to about, what's the game day experience like at McLean Stadium? What could they do better? What is this new, as Doug McNamee looks for better practices, and what's he going to do in the future with this football team and with these football coaches? All of that is on the table. And so this is the Baylor end of the year survey. We'll kind of add our own questions to it in terms of enjoyment of the team, thoughts on the coaches. I think I know where most of you stand on Coach Aranda right now. Scotty, I feel like I hit on something yesterday because people were bringing it up to me. And so I want to get to this idea I had yesterday. And Scotty, I noticed you were with me on screen yesterday for some of this, and I saw you kind of nodding your head. I think you had some belief in this because I do think that Baylor is getting ready to have a very interesting season. I don't know if it'll be a good season. In fact, I think the deck's stacked against the Bears, but they are about to throw one last haymaker at this Dave Aranda era. And what it is it's going to be a little bit like Dion in his first year at Colorado. It'll be like UNC in their first year with Belichick, and I'm sure you're like, ugh, that doesn't sound great. Well, that's the truth. I'm just telling it to you like it is. They are about to have to bring in, this is not the, hey, let's go get like, let's go get like 7 or 8 pretty decent players in the portal. They are getting rid of players as we speak. They are having players leave on their own, and they are going to bring in, it's going to be somewhere 30 to 40 players in the portal. This will be a portal experience unlike anything you've experienced at Baylor. I did yesterday, and I made a thing of this, Scotty, and I think we need to keep circling back to these players. Anytime you see a K-State player hit the portal, you need to think about Joe Klanderman, Baylor's new defensive coordinator. Big 6'3", 195 cornerback hits the portal yesterday. Edge rusher with 2 more years left in college football hits the portal yesterday. Bears need to be thinking about portal people, kind of like what they got with Keaton Thomas. They need to think about portal folks who have a couple of years left. Okay, this can't be all about just bringing people in for one season. This almost needs to be looked at as like a JUCO type situation. You need people that can stay. And if you somehow hit on them this year and you had a great year next year, then by all means, you bring back Aranda. And you go, well, Mosley, do you want Aranda on like a series of 1-year contracts, basically? Yes, absolutely. You don't overreact to the good or the bad. They have not overreacted at all to the bad. The bad was this season. The bad was 2023. In fact, I just had a conversation over lunch about the Baylor situation and about what they needed to do. And it was with former Baylor great Colin Allred. Scotty, and I won't get into all of this, but I will tell you that you'll love this. I discovered a new, and it's been around, I think, since post-COVID, right around COVID or post-COVID. I discovered a new restaurant. It's in Farmers Branch, Texas. Scotty, you're a man that likes to travel around and try out barbecue. You're friends with the Hellberg family like I am. Philip and Yvette. We know what Terry Blacks has brought to Waco. I was at a place today where I had some of the best burnt ends that I've had in all of the Metroplex. And even this includes Central Texas. I'm trying to think if I've had burnt ends in Central Texas. I feel like I have at some point. But this is called Crossbuck. It is in Farmers Branch. Yes, I'm doing restaurant reviews. The sides were incredible, kind of a cheddar mashed potato situation. I had the brisket. I did kind of a combination of the lean and the moist. And I thought both were incredible. I wanted to share some with my daughter, and she doesn't like the fat that comes with the moist version. So I got some lean. She got turkey. Turkey at some barbecue places is somewhat of an afterthought. I will say at Crossbuck, wow, turkey was exceptional. Like they put a lot into it, and it just has an incredible flavor. It's just kind of over in a warehouse district off of in Farmers Branch, Texas. You take Midway off of 635, and you go a little bit to the north, and then you take a right on, I think it's Spring Valley, and there it is. Beautiful patio scene. So if you're watching me and listening to us from the Metroplex today, I would get over there and I would try this out. And it just happened to be a day. And I do have a connection to this place. My daughter's college roommate, it's owned by her roommate's father. And Tim McLaughlin, who's well-known, and Scotty, I might have shared this with you. He was responsible for bringing the restaurant Lockhart, which first opened up in like South Oak Cliff, and then they have a location in downtown Plano now. He was part of the group that brought Lockhart to Dallas, and now he has Crossbuck. So anyway, a little plug for him. And today, I don't know if it's like a political thing or what was going on exactly, but Colin Allred was in there doing some stuff. And so I got to visit with him, and all of that to say, Colin Allred has thoughts on Baylor football. He was a great linebacker at Baylor. And then Colin Allred had a nice NFL career. He played for the Titans, and now he has become a congressman. And I got to watch it, Scotty, because the guy he beat, the Dallas congressman, the longtime congressman, Pete Sessions, is a buddy of mine. So I like both of them, and I know they're both. I'm trying to bring people. I'm crossing the aisles here, okay? Because one of those guys I mentioned is Republican. Colin Allred's Democrat. He's a great Baylor Bear. I like them both, all right? But anyway, and they're both congressmen. And I thought Colin Allred was going to run for state, or not state. I thought he was going to run for senator again, but I think I saw recently where he's changed course on what he's going to run for. But anyway, we didn't get into that. We talked more about Baylor football and about what he thought. He has great things to say about President Livingstone. He, like a lot of Baylor fans, I think, has some misgivings with the direction that Dave Aranda and the team were going in, but is hopeful that they can kind of get things turned around a little bit. We've got, when we get into Campus Confidential today, Scotty's got more portal stuff to talk about, and we had a big-time quarterback go in the portal today. And, of course, with Baylor needing a quarterback, everybody that goes in the portal becomes a possibility. I will tell you, Scotty, and I hated to rain on everybody's parade. In fact, I thought this would be the short Cam would have come up with yesterday. I need to be a little more specific with him. But I tried yesterday to explain to people why I didn't think the DJ Lagway thing was something you should spend a lot of time on. But I've noticed that our friends at Siegmund 365 and a lot of our Baylor people have jumped headfirst into all of that. And so anyway, I'll kind of revisit that and explain to you why I don't think that's the route they are going, and I don't think that's the route they should go. All right. And Scotty, just so make sure you feel heard, and that we say now, do you feel heard? I did hear what you said on that particular topic yesterday, and so we can respond to that. Scotty, would you mind, though? I want to do this for a second here, and then we'll do Campus Confidential here in a minute. This was a survey that ended up in my email, and it ended up in a lot of our emails, and it was a end of the year survey about Baylor football and the experience of going to McLean Stadium. And there it is. Okay, I'm going to put on my glasses for this. Please take a few minutes to complete this brief survey about your game day experience. Required fields indicated with an asterisk. Okay. Now, I like that they said beyond team performance, please rate your overall game day experience. I mean, I really feel like people should be able to have their say on the team performance. And I think it would be a really negative score this year, but it's huge. It's like, if you don't win, you're not going to have a very fun experience. Now, you may go to the game, and if it's a close game and they lose, but too many times this season, and I'm thinking about that Utah game, they got down, they tried to come back, and they just gave up huge. I mean, the only really fun home game I can even vaguely remember, is that they did go ahead and win against K-State, and they had to have some kind of miracle stuff happen at the end. They had a big stop down there at around midfield, if I recall, and they hit a huge field goal in that game. That was what's a field goal kicker's name? Connor Hawkins, I believe. That was about it. Scotty, I'm gonna throw this to you. Your beyond team performance, please rate your overall game day experience, and then of course game day track. I get there so early, and Scotty, you do too, for our pregame shows that we don't really encounter much pregame traffic. I would be totally open to hearing from our people to know how it is to, if you're doing the Farrell Center shuttle or the other shuttles from downtown, or you park in that Dutton garage, or you're looking for paid parking, or you park over there down the street on Orchard Lane or whatever that is. I mean, like, I would be totally open to hearing from you on this. I think, Scotty, where we ought to start, though, and I think this is interesting, and you and I are going to have a little bit of difficult time on this one because you and I are so in tune to doing our pregame show. But pregame activities. Now, can you go on that little drop down? I want to see what options we have on pregame activities. It's tailgating, touchdown alley, and the bear walk. Can you go over to the right on that drop down menu and see what the choices are when they say, please select on pregame activities? What are the options there?
It says very satisfied, somewhat satisfied, neither satisfied nor unsatisfied, somewhat unsatisfied, very unsatisfied.
Okay. Because we don't tailgate, I have largely over the years stayed out of this. I also understand that there are a lot of people that listen to us, and a lot of Baylor people that do have strong opinions on this. I think for whatever reason, when they went with those, whatever they're called, like the tailgate guys.
Tailgate guys, yeah.
Yeah. That upset a lot of people, because one thing people like about their tailgates is the ability to kind of do their own thing and, bring whatever they want to bring, be where they want to be, kind of look at their spots. And what the tailgate guys did is sort of price some people out of the market. I think the thought was maybe this makes it easier. It certainly makes it have that more homogenized look about that whole area around McLean. I'm not talking about Brazos parking. We can get to that in a minute. I'm talking about where the touchdown alley and all those surrounding areas and where people used to like to be. And then what the tailgate guys upset a lot of people. And I would say the rollout ended up being probably disappointing. They probably needed more feedback from people. They probably surprised too many people. I don't know. I would say that was not one of the finer moments of the Mack Rhodes era. Was it his fault? I don't know. I don't know exactly. Was it a money play? Absolutely. I mean, you heard Doug McNamee the other day. They're looking under every rock. They're even to the point where the good old Baptists might be entertaining the idea of selling alcohol at games. Oh my gosh, even saying it, scares me. The thought of seeing people openly drinking there around the concourses of McLean Stadium. I am sort of curious what you think of I want to hear what people think of the whole scene around the tents and everything that came out of when they came in with the tailgate guys. I know that the response was not great. I know people were upset. And I got to think that Doug McNamee knows he needs a couple of wins early. What I think happened, and Scotty, correct me if I'm wrong, is this past tailgate season, they relaxed a few of the rules and let some folks bring in. It wasn't so like tailgate guys were still in operation, but some of that. Can you speak to that, Scotty, in terms of did the tailgating, first of all, the team was so bad, and while the first game was a great attendance and everybody was so excited, I would just say losing those first two big home games really set Baylor back this year to where the tailgating and the pregame experience was probably not very exciting the rest of the year. Scotty, in your mind, where is the not just the student body, but the alums and everybody? Where are they on tailgating right now?
Oh, I think it's still mostly a miss. I mean, I think most of the big tailgates are still over there where we were at Brazos parking across the street. And I don't think that's what Baylor wants long term. Now, I am interested. Maybe I should shoot him a DM. He would answer me. Old T-Rex, the Road Warrior, announced he's moving his tailgate back across the street into the official Baylor tailgating area. And that was curious to me because our buddy T-Rex likes his libations. He enjoys a drink quite a bit at those tailgates. And I still don't think you can do that on the on-campus portion of
you can.
tailgating.
You can.
You can?
Yeah. No, that's not been an issue. You certainly, now you don't sell it over there. And of course, our friends where we were tailgating this year and doing our show, they actually can sell some alcohol over there, and where the George's tent used to be. Camp Femfo did a beautiful job this year. Really enjoyed working with them. But no, Scotty, the alcohol's always been allowed over there on that side by McLean. It's just they were, the setup with those tailgate guys was done in such a way, and again, it might have made it more convenient for people, but it scared off some of my old friends and old buddies who came in from Longview and liked to bring their trailer with them and liked it to look a certain way. And what the tailgate guys did is just kind of, again, just give everything a certain look. I do think right now Doug McNamee is listening and would be open to hearing from fans on this front. But yes, alcohol certainly allowed over there. And I don't exactly know, and you can do things and you can do certain packages with the tailgate guys and everything. But yeah, I think, and we can hear from our people, by the way. You can, if you're on the YouTube channel, you can send us some comments. But now I'm also interested, Scotty, you this season actually took your daughter to some games. I was up there in the press box for most of the games. From a in-game experience, I would say, it used to just completely irritate people when they would have like Safari guy, and then they would have the mic man at the inappropriate moments, after they give up a huge score, and then you would hear that person. In recent years, they've had somebody who's better at doing that and actually is semi-entertaining. So I think that probably portion of it has gotten better from just the music and what they try to present during games, the running of the Baylor line, the pregame, the fireworks. Scotty, you're over there for more of that than I am. Where are you on all that?
I think, man, Matt, and this is where trying to evaluate this outside of team performance is so difficult, because what I will give Baylor athletics, and I felt it most before kickoff and in the beginning of that Auburn game, the first night of the season, I thought the presentation that night was much improved. The energy level was great. The Mike Singletary hype video, which included, the first look we've had at Art Briles in 10 years and any Baylor promotional material, got the fans excited. I mean, all that stuff was great. But then when your team has the home record they've had since 2022, like eventually, by the third or fourth home game of the season, that Mike Singletary video no longer fires anyone up. Freshmen aren't showing up to the game, and so the Baylor line looks underwhelming. I mean, so it is a little difficult to separate. I will say, I think there are some common criticisms that Baylor struggles to do anything on the entertainment front that isn't linked to heavily promoting a sponsor, which I understand, right? We do that for our show. We do that for Rogue Media. But, that does take some of the life out of the building. When I know the one everyone makes fun of is like, your team scores a touchdown, everyone's excited, we're going to go to a commercial break on television, and now here's our charity champions for life, and that's very Baylor. I don't know if it creates the most excitement. And what's interesting, Matt, I haven't been to a lot of road games in my adult life. I went to a lot as a college student.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to compare Baylor football against a road game. I want to compare Baylor football against, where the presentation is outstanding?
Yeah, where?
Foster Pavilion.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, and it's probably a little easier in an indoor basketball environment. It's probably a little easier to ramp up that kind of excitement. But man, Baylor gets it right in Foster in terms of little, things to get the students cheering or get everybody excited. The cupcakes if you miss 2 free throws, like that, like all these promotions they do at Foster seem to create energy going back towards the basketball court, whereas a lot of the promotions in the football stadium feel tired. And I don't know if I have the marketing brain to fix it, Matt.
I do.
I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
Tell us all about it.
No, that's a good point about Foster. And even in the last days of the Farrell, before Farrell fell, before they blew it up. Oh wait, no, it's over there. It's still over there. No, but in the final days of the Farrell, you remember they brought in like a new PA guy, and he was over the top, and it felt like a little much to some of us, but the truth is it connected with the kids. It connected with the students, and that's who you want way into it at those games. And that was a good path that they got on, and that led them into the Foster Pavilion, which is a louder, more on top of you. So it lends itself. So those are really good points on Foster. The only thing I'll say, I know we take a break because we got a big guest coming up at 2. We'll take a break before we do that and talk a little college. And I guess at 2:30 we can really ramp into some major Campus Confidential. I mean, although this is kind of what we've been doing, but I like this. Scotty, I will just say one thing from a pregame standpoint that A&M gets right. You can call me Aggie Matt or whatever you want to call me, but there's like this siren that starts going, and then they take the entire, it's 106,000 people at Kyle Field. And because of the way they have the cameras and everything, they take you on those huge boards in the tunnel with the players. And whatever the music is, then they get the drums going before they come out. And it really has sort of a gladiator type moment, or sending these dudes out into like the Roman Colosseum or something. They capture that unbelievably. And I'm not saying A&M's always been good at that, but in recent years, it's kind of become unbelievable the way that crowd gets ramped up. And Baylor still is trying different things. The running of the line is a good tradition, and I like it, and I would not want to mess with that at all. I would say the field yell is probably played out. I mean, that's a neat concept of like, oh, here's a legend. They're going to lead the field yell. In concept, I like honoring those folks, but it's a little hokey and it's a little strange. Like, I think there's some other things you can do, and they already try with the smoke and some things like that. But I'm just saying A&M and others get that right. And then the other thing is, Scotty, I know you have something to say too. Like most schools kind of have, I know Arkansas has it, Virginia Tech has that one song, Inner Sandman, and it just brings the house down. Even like when they're not good, there's a moment in the game where the entire stadium comes together. Like, we need a moment. The Bears need some sort of moment that feels like they can't just copy somebody, but we need our own moment that feels like that feels big.
Well, and so let me give credit to what they do at Foster, and then I'm going to try to spin it back to fill that need you're talking about at McLean. Some of those traditions that students do at Foster go back to well before I was a student and I graduated a decade ago. I'm talking about ripping up the newspaper and yelling, "Who's that?" when they're interviewing the opposing team's starting lineup. That goes back to the Bear Pit and the Farrell before I was at Baylor, right? So part of this, Matt, is you need to have traditions that go decades back that go side by side with a winning culture. Scott Drew and Kim Mulkey for so long created a winning culture in that building, and Scott Drew has continued, right, this whole time, where your students are conditioned to come and be loud and participate in those things that go back decades. Baylor Line is and should be that moment at Baylor football. Here's the issue, Matt. It goes back to what Baylor fans are. And this is where I will give Texas A&M Aggies credit despite my disdain for that school. Those fans are conditioned going back to decades and decades of winning football. I know they've never won at a UT level, whatever, but that as long as I've been alive, that school wins 8 or 9 games a season. I mean, they do. It goes back decades and decades, and they are conditioned to come in there, stand the entire game, do their cheers, do their swaying, whatever, and it is part of the culture. Baylor does not have that, but you know what? We did. I was watching back today highlights of Lake Seastrunk because I was telling Pete Souza last night, the legend of Lake Seastrunk, the great 7.4 yards per carry running back at Baylor. And I'm watching highlights. And Matt, you know what I noticed in those highlights? In 2012, when Baylor went 8-5, Floyd Casey was packed for a blackout game against Kansas State and was rocking and rolling for an 8-5 Baylor team to beat number 1 Kansas State. That culture existed under Art Briles, who over, an 8-year period of time built an expectation that when you walked into a game at Floyd Casey Stadium, and then, of course, early McLean, Baylor was going to put a product on the field that would make you stand up and get loud. Baylor lost 2 home games in my 4 years as a student. That was the expectation. And the environment of Baylor football from about 2011 through 2015, anybody that was there knows I would put it against anybody. And it wasn't about what Baylor was doing on the field, the chants, the yells. It was, we were winners. And so these finicky Baylor fan people that want to sit and cross their arms the whole game suddenly had something to get up and be excited about. We saw glimpses of it in 2019. I think we saw glimpses of it in 2021. I even, for about 10 minutes against Auburn a few months ago, saw glimpses of that excitement. But that excitement at Baylor is fickle. And so I really if I could send any message to the AD, I would, we finally got some comments coming in here. I would agree with my friend. I don't think I actually know this man, but he's my friend now. Rusty, trying to fix the football presentation before anything with the football team is fixed is extremely weird. Rusty, I agree with you. And it's primarily because I think what creates that environment at Baylor is a winning culture. We have it in basketball. That's part of why that environment is electric all the time. We do not have it right now in football.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're just trying to grasp at things if you don't have the winning product. And so in some ways, a end of the year thing on game day experience, I do appreciate that they're trying, because if they do ever institute a winning culture, you'd like to have all the support and everything in place. And it's probably good to make sure people think, is McLean, it still looks beautiful to me, but there may be areas of it where people don't think they've kept it up as much as they should. In fact, people have mentioned that to me at times. There are some areas that need to be touched up. I think they did do some renovations, but it was very cosmetic, and it was they did some technological stuff here recently.
We talked about this before, Matt. They just replaced the lights, but they didn't do those LEDs that every other stadium has that lets you flash and black out and China Spring
probably has that. I mean, like literally, high school stadiums have that. Yeah,
and I'm not saying you got to go overboard with that, but like that's like a common sense thing where I appreciate them asking for feedback, because I would say like that's a simple win to make touchdowns a little more exciting, and you didn't take.
I got to say, the homecoming game where they brought they had the bell, the old Sigma Chi bell, and they played that foghorn, and people thought I was crazy for even bringing, like Sawyer Robertson didn't even, he's like, I never heard it. I mean, it was loud, by the way, which is good. He was locked in, but it brought back like great memories. And Scotty, this goes back before your time.
No, I remember the bell and the horn. I remember the bell and the horn at Floyd Casey. Yeah.
Those great teams in the early 80s and throughout the 80s, that's what a lot of Baylor fans remember, some of those Grant Taft teams. And so bringing back some of those traditions would be great. Bring back the growl towel. I brought up the growl towel yesterday in context of the terrible towel. The growl towel was a great thing. Scotty, I want you to ask your parents next chance you get, hey, do y'all have a growl towel anywhere around the house? All right. I want you to see that. I think you'd love a growl towel. All right. It is the Mosley Show. We continue on. We've got a major guest showing up at the 2:00 hour. In fact, it is our Texas A&M insider, Travis Brown, joins us at 2:00.
If you want the best for your body, you want Ascension Providence, the largest sports and orthopedics group in Central Texas. Using innovative and cutting-edge technology, we're able to understand your body better than ever, delivering treatment with precision. And with our fellowship-trained and board-certified doctors, you'll receive excellent care. Work with a team dedicated to your health, wellness, and safety.
So you can perform.
At your best.
Ascension Providence, caring for Texas families for over 120 years.
It's the wrap-up the year sales event at Allen Samuels in Waco. Drive home a new Ram 1500 Lone Star with 0% for 72 months or 3.9 for 72 months. Plus 10% below MSRP and get 2,000 holiday select inventory cash. Need more power? Check out the selection of new Ram 2500s, all backed by our 10-year 100,000-mile powertrain warranty and no payments for 90 days. Hurry to Allen Samuels in Waco.
Come by. Let's be friends.
When you strive for greatness, you have a target on your back. And when it comes to finances, we're all targets for scammers. With the right game plan, you can protect yourself. Don't get faked by fraud.
Here's a tip. Don't click on links in emails and text messages. Scammers send emails and texts that look real, saying there's a problem with your account or your order. Don't click. Don't do it, ever. Instead, go directly to the company's website and log in there.
This message is brought to you by Central National Bank.
Bubble wasn't here. I don't know what people would be doing, like making PowerPoints or something. I love that I can sit down and build something the way that I think it should be built.
Bubble turns ideas into fully scalable apps. Try Bubble today.
At Covers & All, we've revolutionized protective solutions with cutting-edge, customizable covers, tarps, and curtains. We deliver premier protection at affordable prices and express shipping. Visit coversandall.com today for the perfect fit, guaranteed to last.
Better sleep, inspired by nature. Your back, hips, and shoulders will fall into perfect alignment in any position, meaning that you get deeper, more comfortable rest. Visit ecoterrabeds.com.
Cleanse your body of accumulated toxins and embark on your wellness journey at your own pace. At Global Healing, we provide premium supplements to help your body heal naturally. Start your healing journey today at globalhealing.com and organichemp.com.
Relax with Hemp Delicious. Organically grown hemp, massively blended with delicious organic herbs, responsibly sourced for their holistic benefits. Each sip offers calming, antioxidant-rich wellness. Brewed just for you. Sip the calm with Hemp Delicious.
Is your Mac running slow? Mac Booster 8 is your all-in-one solution to clean up 20 types of junk files. Get your Mac running like new again with Mac Booster 8. Visit macboost.net today.
I know you're gonna love this Kodak Dot Plus printer. You guys just connect it to your smartphone. I can assure you, you are going to love this printer as much as my family has. You guys have to check it out for yourself.
At Mapiful, we believe in celebrating your journey. Our unique personalized products are designed to boost your confidence. From custom home decor to meaningful gifts, we help you cherish the memories that make you who you are. Visit mapiful.com and start celebrating your story today.
Streamline event and appointment booking with Amelia's sleek, modern, and fully customizable booking forms. WPAmelia.com. That's WPAMELIA.com. Amelia. Nalgene Outdoor has been your trusted companion, fueling adventures and helping protect the planet. We're committed to reducing waste, improving access to clean water, and providing simple, safe, and sustainable products for you and your family. NALGENE.com.
A house is a property, but we live in homes. Home sweet home. Homes where the heart is. We aim to deliver the best home buying and selling experience so you can spend less time real estating and more time living.
whypersonalloans.com. Request a loan anytime. Our partners can offer loans up to $35,000 with varying rates and terms. Review your loan offer with no obligation and decide what works for you. Visit personalloans.com today.
This is what $500,000 in a duffel bag looks like. Actually not real. That's because it's actually prop money. It looks realistic from a distance, but up close you can see it says for motion picture purposes. Visit propmoney.com today to get your money seen or money shot right with Prop Money Inc.
With San, owning iconic furniture no longer requires paying a premium. With over 15,000 satisfied customers worldwide, we've proven that high-quality furniture doesn't have to come with a high price tag. Explore our collection today at san.com.
The U-Like Air 3, launched in 2023, ushers in a new era of sapphire ice cooling technology, offering nearly painless hair reduction in just 3 weeks. That's ULIKE.com. U-Like.
VivoSun's mission is to empower growers with stylish and effective products, making indoor growing accessible and enjoyable for everyone. Visit vivosun.com today and get started making growing plants and vegetables easy and automatic.
Oh, man, I tell you, this is exciting as we get ready for this CFP. Tomorrow night, Oklahoma and Alabama get it on, and then in Norman, and then we've got A&M in Miami Saturday morning. I'm still deciding if I'm going to go. My daughter will be leaving us tomorrow. She came home from A&M, and now she's going to race down there and be a part of that college football playoff. And then if they advance, they'll be in the Cotton Bowl. And so excitement, all kinds of excitement. And I've noticed now that Travis Brown, the man, the myth, the legend, has joined us. Our Texas A&M insider. There he is in studio. Hair looks good. He's taking a peek there. And Travis, welcome into the Mosley show. I would imagine the excitement is building around Aggieland for what some are calling the biggest game in Texas A&M football history.
Yeah, the excitement is really building down here. I think that's evident by the fact that it should be, Christmas break and the roads and highways should be clear for you to just go sailing from home to work, and the traffic is still bad. So I think there's a lot of people down here that are ready for this game at a time where us townies should be able to just cruise to work in about 10 minutes.
Man, it's we've followed A&M all season in these. It's kind of fun in some ways. Travis, we're so used to like bowl season, right? And all these players being rewarded and getting all the accolades. And then it'd be one thing if they were just preparing for, and you've covered dozens of bowl games over the years, and whether it be Texas Bowl, Alamo Bowl, Citrus Bowl, all these kinds of things. But to have a game on campus of this magnitude, I think now that it's here, there's got to be part of the Ags, and you always want the buy if you can get one. But I had Joey McGuire on the other day, Travis. Hopefully you got to catch some of that interview. And it's crazy to me that a team like that's kind of, truly has to sit out like 3.5 weeks or almost a month before they play. I don't think it's necessarily a horrible thing to go ahead and play. A&M had a chance at a bye, lost to Texas. I'm kind of curious in your mind where you think the mindset is, and do you feel like that loss to Texas, though it stung, really reset things for the Ags? What do you think that did for this team's psyche? And could you kind of do the thing where you go, this could have ended up being a good thing for the Ags?
Yeah, a lot of thoughts on that. I was talking to our chief meteorologist about that yesterday on our little podcast. We, if you look at the way A&M finished the season, they had, of course, that loss to Texas, and then at least in the SEC slate, 2 weeks before that was the South Carolina game, where they had the most abysmal first half and needed a absolutely perfect second half to come back and win that game. And so between that was a Sanford game that was not even a spring game. It was wild how uncompetitive that game was. So there isn't our meteorologist said he wishes, he's an Aggie fan, he wishes there was another SEC game or something in between those two games to kind of get a better idea of, is this a trend, or is this something that just they had a couple of hiccups at the end of the road, but this team is still the team that was the previous 10 games before that. And so I don't know. I think probably from where they left off that Texas game, maybe getting a game under their belt, if they are able to win it, is probably the better thing than sitting out all the way, then to have to play a really competitive team in another couple weeks. But I'm curious at where this team is. Is it? I think there's a question can still be asked: is this a team that peaked a little bit too early at the beginning of November and is kind of on a downhill, or is it just that it's a rivalry game at the end of the season and all records and everything are thrown out because it was a big time rivalry?
Trav, something is going on with your mic, and my crack producer was just telling me if you it kind of sounds like there's something, you're a compressor or aggressive on your mic. If there's anything you can turn off that has to do with your mic, I don't know. You were just kind of coming in and out pretty aggressively. So I don't know if we want to try a different mic, or, I mean, look at you.
You just keep talking and I'll make.
It sounded like a gate to me, Travis.
Yeah, how about that?
Keep talking.
Yeah.
Check. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, good. That sounds better to me, doesn't that to you, Scotty? Like Trav, when I heard Scotty say it sounds like a gate, I don't know what that means. Maybe you do. The swinging gate is what I think.
Yeah.
We'll give this a try. I think it does sound a little bit better. Man, you're right. It's like, is it a backtrack? Is it a bad trend, or was it a one game thing? Let me ask you this though. I had the new defensive coordinator on at Baylor who came from Kansas State. He didn't, Joe Klanderman on a couple of days ago. He didn't know if Colin Klein was going to keep him. You now have some guys coming and going on this A&M staff. You had somebody they promoted to offensive coordinator. They've had a defensive coordinator leave to go to Kentucky. I mean, I think all these guys are still going to coach A&M throughout the playoff, but it does cause, you remember famously, Nick Saban just got sick of Lane Kiffin trying to do two jobs and told him to get on out of here right about 5 days before they were going to play in the college football playoff a few years ago. That's been several years ago now. How does that seem to be working with the Ags? And I mean, has it been fairly business as normal? Like how, and do you kind of feel like they have the infrastructure and enough coaches there to accommodate all this kind of weirdness that's going on with the staff at a time when you need everybody to be locked in.
Yeah, I mean, from all indications, it seems like everything is business as usual. And part of that, I think that it helps is that they've, with Colin Klein, the offensive coordinator, leaving to go to Kansas State, with Jay Bateman going to leave and go take over as the defensive coordinator at Kentucky. They already have named their successors, and 2 guys from within the program, with Holman Wiggins taking over at offensive coordinator and Lyle Hemphill taking over at defensive coordinator. And so I think that there is probably help that there's got a little continuity there, that if there's 2 guys who know the system, who have been there the entire season to help them implement this system that is one. And so if there was the case that Colin Klein or that Jay Bateman was tied up with something else, that there is that guy there that knows the system and is going to be the guy moving forward. And so I certainly think that helps, but there seems to be no indication that any of these guys have their eyes on the next horizon. I think they're all still pretty locked in. We actually it was interesting. We got to talk to the coordinators on Tuesday as part of, the bowl availability, or excuse me, the playoff availability. And we were kind of curious before, are they going to give us Klein and Bateman, or are they going to give us Wiggins and Lyle Hemphill to talk to? And it was the guys who have been the coordinators all year this year who are moving on. So seems like the eye's still on the prize around here.
All right, and everybody's looking to see. Le'Veon Moss has been out since I was at that last game. I think you played in. I think it was at Florida game back in October. A&M has been blessed to have Reuben Owens, E.J. Smith, Morrow is a name that comes to mind. So they're pretty deep at that position. We now have these availability reports, which are interesting because, again, we've been lied to for so long. I'm sure you're like me. You don't see an availability report and go, oh, that's just, everything on there is true. But they do have to at least share some of that. And again, this linebacker has been out for a long time for A&M as well. Talking about Scooby Williams, that is, and then safety Bryce Anderson. And man, some of these guys have been out for a while. Scooby Williams was a big-time player for A&M, and yet his backup came in and has played brilliantly, so they didn't miss him as much. I'm just curious, Le'Veon Moss is a big-time home run threat, probably the best NFL prospect of the A&M running backs. You've seen footage and the portions of practice you get to see. I forget exactly how that works at the college level, but the footage we've seen is he's moving pretty well. What's your gut telling you on his availability, and how big could that be if he's able to step in and come back in this offense?
I certainly think he's going to take snaps because, Mike Elko's party line on this the entire time has been they're in a wait and see mode with him, and he came out as questionable on the first availability report. But when we talked to Colin Klein, kind of asked him what would having Le'Veon Moss be to this offense, he did say twice something to the extent of he's really glad that Le'Veon is going to get to kind of finish out his career the way he wants to. And I don't think any player wants to finish out their career on the sidelines nursing an injury. So I do think he'll see some action. Now, how much of that he'll see, I think that's still left to be determined if he is not back up to 100%. But even when Le'Veon suffered the injury against Florida in early October, the timetable then, and then as we kind of continued to ask about it moving forward, was always there's a good chance he could be back by the end of the regular season, but he would be available if A&M made a postseason run. He wasn't available at Texas. And so I think if they're sticking to what they said in that timetable early, he should be available. But the other part of that too is they've been pretty good at running the ball without him since, the beginning of conference play with Reuben Owens, Jamarian Morrow, Amari Daniels, E.J. Smith. Would it be a huge boost to have him back? Sure, it certainly would. But I think that they can beat plenty of teams with the guys they have behind Le'Veon as well.
I think teams are going to end up studying like what Signetti has done at Indiana in the portal, what the Aggies have done with some of their portal players. I mean, Cassius Howell is winning all these awards. He's up for the top defensive player in the country. And I know the Tech linebacker won one of those. That might have been the Nagurski I'm thinking of. But Cassius Howell has emerged as maybe the best pass rusher in the country. It is, and you've done really good stories, and you've looked at these backgrounds, isn't it? It's wild, Travis. I think sometimes we get caught up in this, oh my gosh, somebody from Miami or Florida State or somebody big or Penn State's out there in the portal. A&M finds this incredible player 2 years ago from Bowling Green. And I think he was very productive there, but I think it reminds us all that, and then even with Craver in Concepcion, I think Concepcion of those players was the biggest headliner at NC State because he actually did put up good numbers there. Craver's numbers did not suggest that he was just going to go crazy like he did early this season. What have you learned from sort of watching A&M and how they approach the portal? And because this year has been just a huge breakthrough year from the Ags, but I bet they've learned a lot that'll help them moving forward.
Yeah, A&M has not been shy about going after guys that maybe have potential but don't have the numbers or have the numbers at a lower level. I mean, you even go back to the year prior when they brought in Nick Scorton from Purdue, the Bryan native. There was a big story about the fact that when Mike Elko was the defensive coordinator at A&M here and Scorton was coming out of Bryan, they didn't offer him. They weren't interested at the time. They didn't think he would turn into what he was. And Mike Elko said that the pitch coming back started with, hey, I'm sorry we didn't see this, but you've gone out and really proved yourself. And at that time, he led the Big Ten in sacks, and he apologized. And I think that's an interesting piece to all of that. Now they came around the next year, or really the same year, and got Cassius Howell from Bowling Green. Cassius Howell, talked plenty about the fact that he wasn't highly recruited out of high school. Part of that it was in that kind of pandemic-y era. And their visits and things like that weren't necessarily happening. But he said he saw lots of guys that were getting recruited around him. And he thought and he believed that he was better than those guys and should have gotten some of the offers that those guys got. So he kind of used that as the chip to work his way through Bowling Green, and then found his place at A&M. And even when he got recruited by A&M, Mike Elko said recently that they thought he was an overlooked guy at that time. Craver was an interesting piece because they've said that the reason they really went after Craver is Mike Elko went to his defensive backs, especially cornerback Will Lee, and was like, who's the hardest guy? Who's the guy who was the hardest to cover this year? And Will Lee said it was Mario Craver. And when Mario Craver came in the transfer portal, they took Will Lee at his word and went after him. So it's kind of there was several different methods at which they kind of went around locating and finding and of course they have these huge staffs of scouts and recruiting analysts who are digging through the tape, and it certainly isn't probably as simple as that, but at least anecdotally several different ways to go about kind of locating and honing in on the guys that should go in the portal. And most all of them hit this year, and I think that is a testament to in the past it was how many guys in your recruiting class can you get to, how many 3 stars and 4 stars can you get to hit? Now it's how many guys from the portal can you get to hit each year? And they had a really high rate this year.
Huge hit rate, and Texas Tech did as well. And some of these teams that are in the CFB are great in that area. Something you had on your Twitter feed earlier today, College Game Day in Norman tomorrow, and they're going to have as a guest picker the Boz. And then at A&M, not to be outdone, the next morning, Johnny Manziel, the guest picker on game day. I would say you could argue that in the past 30 or 40 years, those are two of the biggest characters, the most colorful characters in the history of college football. And one of those guys owns a Heisman. So I think that's and I feel a little bit bad for Johnny. I feel like Johnny's been blamed for some of this Diego Pavia bad behavior. I think
I was about to throw in Diego. Yeah.
It's just, man, you follow all that. I mean, the guy acted like an idiot. Isn't it funny how you can go in one weekend almost, you can go from, or one season, to like all that fun bravado is kind of funny and cool and everything. And then and then in one night, you can kind of ruin it all by just really going over the top. And I think that's what Diego Pavia, and maybe he was drunk or something, I don't know, but he acted like such an idiot that he got the whole country against him there for a little bit.
I like to say, he was calling out the Heisman voters there on his Instagram. I voted for him as my top vote, so I didn't take it personally.
You didn't think what he was calling effers or whatever he said. You didn't internalize that.
That's the other guys who didn't.
But now with Marcel and Beck, this is such an interesting quarterback matchup, because like if you say, okay, I think these teams are pretty even, and Vegas does. I mean, I think A&M's favored by 3 in this game. Beck, to me, then you ask the question, which quarterback do you trust the most? And you can make an argument either way, because while Beck, I guess, maybe has a little more experience, they both are, I think, tied for the lead in interceptions of the CFP quarterbacks. I think they've both thrown 10 interceptions, and Marcel's coming off a game where quite honestly, he was just not at his best when A&M needed him to be really good. How have you seen Marcel react to that game, and kind of where is the staff's, where do you think the team's confidence is in Marcel right now going into this game, knowing, hey, Miami has confidence issues in Carson Beck? It's not like these are two. I mean, at one point they were both Heisman candidates. In the end, I don't know if either one of them finished in the top 10.
Right. It was, I'm going to be curious to see how Marcel comes out in this game, because, when we talk about that end of the season, some of the hiccups they had with South Carolina and Texas, the South Carolina game was about the time that A&M started making they're kind of getting their marketing team involved to get that kind of Heisman push. And they were sending out the hashtag Marcel mode stuff, and they made a website, and the weight of that could have easily kind of started to mount on his shoulders. Well, Heisman's done. Now all that's left is just to win ball games. And I'm curious to see if maybe if in some of those miscues that he had in the first half of South Carolina and in the second half of the Texas game, if some of that was just kind of the enormity of that moment. And now that you just have to go out there and win a game, is it going to be less about style points and Heisman moments, and just about making sure being moving the ball down the field methodically? But you're right, Carson Beck, the biggest selling point he has is he's been in these big games. So I think I think that it is a really fascinating battle, because it's a guy who was really close to the top of college football in his position group, and then Georgia kind of said, yeah, but maybe we'll move on, and he moved on. And he's been able to have some mixed results this season. The other thing with Marcel is the fact that I think the A&M's offense is just a little bit more explosive, and so if he can hit some of those bigger pass plays, I think A&M ranks like 11th in explosive plays this year. Miami is like 40th. They play a little bit closer to the line of scrimmage to move the ball down the field. If A&M can tap into a few of those explosive plays, that's going to be a huge advantage for him. But it all relies on Marcel being accurate with some of those deeper passes and making the right decisions.
All right. I want you to know I have downloaded the KBTX app. It's a nice app, and you can get all of Travis's. I mean, he's got tons of columns, reports, everything. Then, of course, he's on TV. You can see him in the background. And so I have taken a peek at that. I liked Albert Regis. I was looking at one of your reports on Twitter, and he said something about, we're the first team to make it to the playoffs for A&M, but we didn't do all this just to get that little 2 claps and a Ric Flair achievement. we want the win, and we want to keep winning till the season's over. Always amazed at how, like, a wrestler that was at his peak 25 to 30 years ago, that these kids know all about him, and he still has that much staying power. That Regis, the huge defensive tackle, I always like to see where the Regis family's sitting when I'm at the games. You know, they're down there to get, you know, the players' families are right down there close to the sideline, and you can always see, man, the Regis family. They got those jerseys. What is that, number 13? They got those
17, yeah.
17, sorry. And they are large and in charge down there, man.
Well, you know, the funny thing is, you know, he's kind of a little bit of an old soul. He has a daughter, and him and his fiance have a daughter. And for senior day, he ran out on the field holding his daughter, and kind of met the fiance at midfield and everything like that. And that video went viral. And so he was asked about that. And he said, I absolutely hated the fact that went viral. I don't want to go viral, but it was a special moment to be able to do that with my daughter. So he is a little bit of an old soul in that regards.
All right. And I could not talk to you without bringing up the other day. I was one of the millions. Apparently, the ratings came in, and it was one of the most watched volleyball matches probably of the last 10 years. I know Nebraska had an outdoor match that had like 80,000 fans, but the Mighty Ags going in to the belly of the beast at the Bob Devaney Center or whatever it was, and taking down Nebraska. You know, there have been some good Aggie upsets over the years, Travis, but that's one of the bigger in any sport. That sort of transcends all sports, because Nebraska that's what they do. I mean, that they are a volleyball school. What's been the reaction there on the campus? And I understand there was a pretty nice little gathering as they returned to campus the other night.
Yeah, and it was cold out. At least it was Texas cold out there. I was shivering a little bit, waiting for that bus to come around. But there was probably a few hundred people out there waiting for them to get back. It was pretty similar to the same crowd that was there for the baseball team when they returned from the College World Series after just falling short of a national title. So that kind of tells you where that program is and how much people cared about that match. Jamie Morrison is actually just a really fun coach to cover, because he absolutely does not give you the coach's cliches. He kind of just tells you what he's thinking. And, you know, he mentioned that during the fourth set, the one that ended 37-35, A&M actually lost that set, which forced the fifth set. But he said cameras caught him smiling, and people are like, why were you smiling? That was such an intense set and everything. And he said, well, I was just thinking, this is a really good volleyball game. I don't care if we win or lose. I'm just gonna be really excited to get to go home and, like, you know, make a bowl of popcorn and watch this thing back. This is a really, really fun game to watch. It was a huge accomplishment for this program that a few years ago was floundering. And some of these girls who are seniors now were just part of a program that the coach ended up getting fired, and just kind of was a little bit rudderless, and now are a program that is filling up for sure the lower bowl of Reed Arena at most of their home games, kind of starting to get that Nebraska-like vibe. And a couple of good stories. You got Logan Lednicki, who's the opposite hitter, who is the third generation Aggie. Her father played for the football team, and so that's pretty well documented that she has grown up an Aggie and is doing this. And Kendall Stowers, a former Baylor player who medically retired about a season and a half ago, and was sitting at home watching the Final Four with her mom last year. She decided that she didn't think that she thought she could still be healthy and play, and they worked with a ton of doctors to kind of reduce symptoms and do different kinds of therapies, and she was cleared. Jamie Morrison took a chance on her, and she finished as the high kill leader in the Nebraska game with 25. And so just a really remarkable story there. And the brother of Eli Stowers, who had his own kind of comeback story from not working out at A&M to now being the prime target for the Diego Pavia that we were talking about, the winner of the Mackey Award. Their family flew from College Station, or drove down to College Station from Denton, flew to Vegas for one award, flew to Nebraska for those games, then flew to New York for the Mackey Award, then came home for 2 days, and then are flying up to Kansas City to be there. So they've really gotten the frequent flyer miles this month.
Yeah, and believe me, Baylor, she loved Baylor, and Baylor loved Kendall Stowers, and the team doctor would not sign off on her coming back. So she got retired, even though she didn't want to retire, and Baylor never wanted to lose her. So kudos to the A&M team doctor and whoever decided to clear her. And just to rub salt in the wound, they kept mentioning that Helmuth, I think is her name, or something like that, and her mom played at Baylor. And so I asked the Baylor volleyball coach, I said, well, what's the deal? What's the story there? And he's like, well, we didn't recruit her because we had Kendall Stowers on the roster.
There you go.
So now you know the rest of the story. Travis, man, congrats on it's been a fun season of coverage for you. We enjoy watching you. My daughter will be right in the middle of all that game day activity, and so she's excited to get down there. And so we'll be watching, and it'll be a great weekend. Then we'll see. Hopefully, you get to be in the Metroplex. If the Ags win, you could be home for New Year's Eve and the whole celebration. So, man, thanks for doing this. I appreciate it. And Mike,
we're going to walk around the corner from game day to our Aggie playoff preview from KBTX. That'll be, the smaller crowd right behind the stage in Aggie Park. So if you're out there, you can come, hang out with us before the game. Who needs Pat McAfee when you can get Tyler Shaw? So that's the motto I live by.
I'll tell her, and she'll drop by, and so you can meet the youngest Mosley kid. All right, Travis, have a great one, and we'll look forward to reading everything and watching you after this game.
You got it. Thanks.
There he goes. Travis Brown, our Aggies insider, and a good job there by Scotty to make sure. Oh, what about, we got that mic working, and it was beautiful from there on out. So great to hear from Travis, a longtime friend, and he's from the community where I live now. And so watched him kind of grow up as a writer, and he's done a great job. So KBTX, in fact, I downloaded that app today. That's a good one to watch if you want to watch the Ags through all this. Okay, we need to do some Campus Confidential. There is a major college quarterback that has gone in the portal. There'll be a lot of interest, including, I guess, the Baylor Bears are going to be in on a lot of these quarterbacks. We'll discuss. We'll do that next.
If you want the best for your body, you want Ascension Providence, the largest sports and orthopedics group in Central Texas. Using innovative and cutting-edge technology, we're able to understand your body better than ever, delivering treatment with precision. And with our fellowship-trained and board-certified doctors, you'll receive excellent care. Work with a team dedicated to your health, wellness, and safety.
So you can perform
at your best.
Ascension Providence, caring for Texas families for over 120 years.
When you strive for greatness, you have a target on your back. And when it comes to finances, we're all targets for scammers. With the right game plan, you can protect yourself. Don't get faked by fraud.
Here's a tip. Never deposit someone else's money into your bank account. Scammers will send you money or overpay you and then ask you to refund a portion of the money back to them. This is a scam.
This message is brought to you by Central National Bank.
It's the Wrap Up the Year sales event at Allen Samuels in Waco. Drive home a new Ram 1500 Lone Star with 0% for 72 months or 3.9 for 72 months. Plus 10% below MSRP and get 2,000 holiday select inventory cash. Need more power? Check out the selection of new Ram 2500s, all backed by our 10-year 100,000-mile powertrain warranty and no payments for 90 days. Hurry to Allen Samuels in Waco.
Come by. Let's be friends.
Bubble wasn't here, I don't know what people would be doing, like making PowerPoints or something. I love that I can sit down and build something the way that I think it should be built.
Bubble turns ideas into fully scalable apps. Try Bubble today.
At Covers and All, we've revolutionized protective solutions with cutting-edge, customizable covers, tarps, and curtains. We deliver premier protection at affordable prices and express shipping. Visit coversandall.com today for the perfect fit, guaranteed to last.
Better sleep, inspired by nature. Your back, hips, and shoulders will fall into perfect alignment in any position, meaning that you get deeper, more comfortable rest. Visit ecoterrabeds.com.
Cleanse your body of accumulated toxins and embark on your wellness journey at your own pace. At Global Healing, we provide premium supplements to help your body heal naturally. Start your healing journey today at globalhealing.com and organichemp.com.
Relax with Hemp Delicious. Organically grown hemp, massively blended with delicious organic herbs, responsibly sourced for their holistic benefits. Each sip offers calming, antioxidant-rich wellness. Brewed just for you. Sip the calm with Hemp Delicious.
Is your Mac running slow? Mac Booster 8 is your all-in-one solution to clean up 20 types of junk files. Get your Mac running like new again with Mac Booster 8. Visit macboost.net today.
I know you're gonna love this Kodak Dot Plus printer. You guys just connect it to your smartphone. I can assure you, you are going to love this printer as much as my family has. You guys have to check it out for yourself.
At Mapiful, we believe in celebrating your journey. Our unique personalized products are designed to boost your confidence. From custom home decor to meaningful gifts, we help you cherish the memories that make you who you are. Visit mapiful.com and start celebrating your story today.
Streamline event and appointment booking with Amelia's sleek, modern, and fully customizable booking forms. WPAmelia.com. That's WPAMELIA.com. Amelia. Nalgene Outdoor has been your trusted companion, fueling adventures and helping protect the planet. We're committed to reducing waste, improving access to clean water, and providing simple, safe, and sustainable products for you and your family. NALGENE.com.
A house is a property, but we live in homes. Home sweet home. Homes where the heart is. We aim to deliver the best home buying and selling experience so you can spend less time real estating and more time living.
whypersonalloans.com. Request a loan anytime. Our partners can offer loans up to $35,000 with varying rates and terms. Review your loan offer with no obligation and decide what works for you. Visit personalloans.com today.
This is what $500,000 in a duffel bag looks like. Actually not real. That's because it's actually prop money. It looks realistic from a distance, but up close you can see it says for motion picture purposes. Visit propmoney.com today to get your money seen or money shot right with Prop Money Inc.
With San, owning iconic furniture no longer requires paying a premium. With over 15,000 satisfied customers worldwide, we've proven that high-quality furniture doesn't have to come with a high price tag. Explore our collection today at san.com.
The U-Like Air 3, launched in 2023, ushers in a new era of sapphire ice cooling technology, offering nearly painless hair reduction in just 3 weeks. That's ULIKE.com. U-Like.
VivoSun's mission is to empower growers with stylish and effective products, making indoor growing accessible and enjoyable for everyone. Visit vivosun.com today and get started making growing plants and vegetables easy and automatic.
Now back to the Mosley Show. Great to have you today, and good to have Travis Brown on. We got his mic taken care of, and that was we got some really good stuff talking about A&M in Miami, and Scotty Swingler now joining me for some Campus Confidential. We've saved it today for later in the show. We did look earlier at some interesting information on the whole Baylor scene, and they're doing kind of the end of the year survey, want to know what their fans think, all those types of things. But the main thing, as we've talked about, is establishing a winning culture, getting people, that's what's going to be put people in the seats And, you can sell a little bit on hope. And that's what this next year is going to be all about. It will be about throwing haymakers, possibly landing a few interesting players in the portal. And Scotty, as I shared yesterday, I do not believe that is going to be DJ Lagway. And the problem, and I know people are like, hey, that would make a statement. That would be incredible. If you want to blow your entire portal budget on one player, have at it. Have at it. I don't see the purpose in that. I understand the hope and the excitement that it would build, but I first of all, I don't know if he's good enough to do that. And second of all, what have you accomplished if you do? You've got a major headliner. That's exciting. And I do think he has some big time upside. And there are things about his body type and the way he throws the ball and carries himself that remind me of Cam Newton in some way. So that part of it should be extremely exciting. That was a guy who won a national title in the SEC. The problem is Baylor's going to have tons of holes to fill. Defensive line, pass rusher, safety. I mean, and then obviously the O-line. It's all over this team. The wide receivers. I mean, they hopefully have some young guys in Jaden Porter and others who will step up, but they don't know that for sure. There's lots of places they need help, and spending all their money on one quarterback does not seem that wise to me. Scotty, I know you're getting ready for it as I get ready to turn this thing over to you. The CFP. And Scotty, remind me here in a minute, I do have a Big 12 basketball stat to throw at you. And it's both great for the Big 12 and a little bit worrisome for the Baylor Bears, because it sort of speaks to how top heavy this conference is. And I just don't have a great feel right now where the Bears fit in terms of where they rank in this conference. And it's what scares me is there's some teams that we usually have on a lower rung in this conference that are stepping up, winning a ton of games right now. And that's a little bit worrisome, because for Baylor to be where it needs to be, you need to have, Baylor needs to finish 6th or 7th in the conference. And right now, man, there's some teams like Oklahoma State that are scaring me a little bit in this conference. But Scotty, I want to turn it over to you, because I know you have some portal news and you have some college football news otherwise that you want to share with us. Sir, the floor is yours.
Yeah, the quarterback carousel. We had the coaching carousel that is still going on, but has resolved itself in a lot of ways. But the quarterback carousel, Matt, alive and well. Bo Pribula, Missouri quarterback, was having a nice season before he got injured, has entered the portal. He was the backup at Penn State before becoming the starter at Missouri. So fittingly, Penn State and Virginia Tech, where James Franklin is now the head coach, are the two leaders to get Pribula's services. And then Washington State, interestingly, mentioned as a possible landing spot. But, Matt, as you were talking to Travis Brown, we had breaking news, because another quarterback has entered the portal. And I don't know much about this kid, but if Baylor wants to try to strike gold, get struck by lightning twice, strike gold twice, history to repeat itself, Mississippi State quarterback Luke, and I'm going to guess Cromanhook, guessing, has entered the portal. 6'4", 220, was a 5-star recruit in the 2024 class. Baylor went and got a backup quarterback who was highly rated out of high school from Mississippi State, and that worked out pretty good. I don't know if I want Baylor taking a kid that couldn't beat out Blake Shapen for a starting job, Matt, but an interesting name to watch here. I know we've also heard Baylor might be shifting their portal approach to production, players that have actually played over players coming out of high school. But another quarterback in this now very busy transfer portal.
Yeah, and we'll give him a little grace because he would have been very young and early in his career to beat out Blake Shapen, who
true.
Had a lot of experience, both good and bad, and was a gamer this year. Took a lot of hits, hung in there, played pretty well at times. Should have totally beat the University of Texas. That's why it was so funny to me that Texas was acting like they were done wrong by the committee. I mean, they were extremely fortunate to beat Mississippi State. And I think it took overtime with Kentucky. It definitely took overtime. There were just so many games that they could have easily lost against bad teams, and they couldn't get it done. This is interesting. Did you say he was originally a Florida State guy, though? Is that right?
Penn State.
No. You're talking about Pribula was Penn State. I was talking about Cromwell.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Because that means he would have been coming in that year. They had the incredible year, but they were left at home. And Jordan Travis, was that his name? Jordan Travis, sound right? Got hurt. And then they had a backup quarterback who couldn't get it done. And the committee left Florida State at home. So right about that year's class would have been when that kid was coming into Florida State. And it's hard to say what happened there. At Florida State, if I recall correctly, Thomas Castellanos, who may have started off at Boston College, it's hard. These guys move around so much. I think I have that right in my head. Ended up at Florida State. So this kid kept getting pushed down. And when he didn't win out against Shapen, he decided to hit the portal. At least he has now. It's always interesting to me. Like, I feel like if Mississippi State truly saw this guy as the starter, they would have tried to impress that upon him and maybe come up with the money to make him stay or get him to stay. I would say that coach is also going to be a little bit in a not lame duck, but hot seat at least, because and of course that's the son-in-law of Art Briles. It's a team that just can't quite seem to turn the corner. They play in a lot of close games. To me, they've been more competitive. But if you keep going 1-7 in conference or like 0-8, what they did the year before, you can't keep that coach. And that's the old coach from Oklahoma, the old offensive coordinator, who then became the head coach at Mississippi State. And again, I liked him when he was at Baylor, but I don't know. I don't know if he's long for that place. So that is an interesting name. And then Scotty also brought up Pribula. Scotty, when I was trying to think of yesterday, like who had that speech about college football, like how it's sick right now and how it needs to be put together and all, that was Eli Drinkowitz, the coach of Missouri. And a lot of times he says kind of goofy, weird stuff. I will tell you, if you want to look that up, if you want to Google that, you all should. It was actually a really well thought out, interesting thing that he was presenting, because I just think people hear coaches that make a ton of money talking about the ills of college football and, oh, it's the schedule. And I think the easiest thing to say back to them is, well, the ratings are better than ever. The players are making money. The fans seem to like their teams. I mean, yes, some of those things are true, but some of these programs, there's some thought that some of these programs are just going to go broke at some point. Like they're just continuing to try and try and try. And you heard President Livingstone say it recently at a news conference when they were introducing Doug McNamee, and she may have said it in one of those interviews she did. Baylor is, the way she presented it is that the Baylor, the school, is having to spend too much time or funding and propping up the athletic program, and they know how important it is. But basically, her message is, we can't keep doing that. We've got to make this thing sustainable some point, and maybe it's going to happen through this. To me, bringing all this private equity could lead to disaster, because these people do, at some point, they're going to want their money back. At some point, they like to see a little ROI. Let me tell you where ROI is happening. It's happening at Texas Tech, where everybody makes fun of them and they're like, oh, they had to buy their title. Well, their applications are probably more up than ever. It's kind of like when TCU went to the Rose Bowl many years ago, or even recently when TCU played for the national title. Well, their applications and their school, it like puffed it up more. It's like when Baylor had RG3, like they didn't have to pay for that marketing. That marketing was worth like $30 million in marketing or something crazy like that. RG3 winning the high, maybe it wasn't that much, but somewhere in that neighborhood. So in some ways, it's great for schools, but I do think that Drinkowitz thing is worth a listen. It's worth checking out, because I thought he made some very interesting points. All right, Scotty, what else do you have for us, sir?
Matt, while you were talking, this is a breaking news, Campus Confidential. We have a reunion in Austin, Texas. We have a reunion. Texas has fired DC Pete. Good grief. Another last name I do not want to attempt. Old Pete.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. And they have hired Will Muschamp as its next defensive coordinator. Muschamp back in Austin, baby.
Let the good times roll. You know, what would McConaughey say right now? How would he say?
He would say, all right.
He would say, you can go back home, right?
He would say, that's a green light. That's a green light there for Muschamp. We need that guy. We need him to be locked in. He's at his best when he's in burnt orange. All right.
Yeah, because we all know that the Texas defense was the real huge problem this year, right? Golly, man. Somebody's going to get a good defensive coordinator. I mean, give them what in the world? The defense was the only reason they were in those games. That Kentucky game, that Mississippi, I mean, that defense was pretty dang good. And then they held A&M to 17 points. They beat A&M 27-17. Wow. That's unbelievable.
You're very correct. And yet the hopeless romantic in me loves this. Loves a guy who was very successful at a place, went some other places, head coach, much less successful, and now gets to come back to where he kind of achieved his standing. I love this. I think this is fun.
By the way, if you're a defensive head coach, you love firing guys on the other side of the ball. If you're an offensive head coach, it's just like, well, just throw all those dudes overboard. They're not my people. I mean,
hey, listen, Matt, we might get a replay of this scenario in about a year's time with one Dave Aranda. I mean, he might be back in Baton Rouge in 2027. You never know.
Wow. And by the way, just a reminder, Scotty was alluding to some of it, but Muschamp, once upon a time, was named the dreaded coach in waiting to Mac Brown, and he was going to be the guy. He was going to be the next head coach at Texas, and Mac didn't exactly love that. By the way, when they tried to make Lincoln Riley the head coach in waiting at Oklahoma, you know what Bob Stoops said? He said he gave him the old bird, gave him the old middle finger, and they made it look nice, like a nice exit. But Bob Stoops said, you know what? You want to make him my coach in waiting? You can have him right now. I'm out. I'm gone. Even though they had a statue of him already on campus of Bob Stoops. And wow, Will Muschamp back at the University of Texas. Will Muschamp, after Texas, became the head coach at South Carolina for a little bit. Was it Florida? Golly, was he at both those places? Was he a head coach was Will Muschamp the head coach at Florida briefly?
Yes.
And then he was the coach at South Carolina? Do I have that right? Did he coach at South Carolina too? Anyway, he had his chances. Yeah.
Okay, so I was mixed up there. There was a year in between, so it was 4 years head coach of Florida. Then he had a gap year. That's where I was struggling to remember. He was the DC at Auburn for a season. Then head coach at South Carolina for 5 years. And then he's been a DC special teams coordinator, analyst. Oh, he hasn't been a DC yet. He was co-DC at Georgia.
All right.
But
hey, if you can get on Kirby's staff or get on Saban's staff back in the day when he was coaching, it just automatically somehow your career gets rehabilitated, and now he'll call plays at the University of Texas.
I'm reminded, thanks to his trusty Wikipedia page, he was the SEC co-coach of the year in 2012 as a head coach, and his record, it's not impressive, but 55-51 as a head coach. Yeah, it's not good enough to keep an SEC big school job, but like, dude can coach, and we know he can coach defense. So
yeah,
I kind of like the reunion.
It's fine, but I feel like our buddy Pete got completely hosed here. They've been good on defense. Give me a break. Arch was pretty much horrible most of the season.
Oregon,
better late.
Oregon needs a new DC. Ole Miss needs a new DC. Like, the man will land on his feet. He will be okay. Pete
Kwiatkowski, and they brought in years ago. They brought in Gary Patterson to serve as an analyst or a consultant, and he worked with that UT. And then, of course, the Baylor Bears hired him, and that lasted about a month and a half or 2 months. But oh man, I'm just glad the Bears have the Clandy man. That's all.
I don't have the song queued, Matt. I'm so sorry.
Boy, somebody yesterday.
I need to load that in as a quick trigger, like the breaking news sound.
One of my friends yesterday, Scotty, was like saying something along the lines of like, it's kind of funny, but it's kind of like destroying me. It's kind of like way annoying that you're mentioning it so much. And that's what led me to then find the Clandy Man song. And then you were able to turn it around quickly. And that became a big part of yesterday's show. The Clandy Man can. And that would be Joe Clanderman. Okay, buddy. Any other breaking news? Anything else we need to hit? Because we're almost to the landing spot. Any other college football news you want to mention?
Doesn't look like much breaking other than those things. I was going to mention tomorrow. I think you and I should pick our playoff games here for the weekend. And these speaking of us picking playoff games, College Game Day's got 2 special guest pickers this weekend. Did you see this? I'm looking at his poster here behind Pete's set. The Boz, Brian Bosworth, will pick tomorrow night. And then on Saturday, College Game Day, old Johnny Manziel, Heisman winning quarterback from Texas A&M, will be the celebrity guest picker. So an Oklahoma and a Texas A&M legend coming back for College Game Day.
As I said to Travis Brown in our interview a little while ago, Scotty, I see those as 2 of the greatest, the most colorful characters in college football of the last 40 years.
Yeah, they are.
You have to go way back to get the Boz now. You got to go back to the mid 80s. So 25 plus 15. Yeah, about 40 years. 40 years ago, the great Boz. But he'll be picking. That will be exciting to have the Boz in Norman. I mean, I would prefer Barry Switzer always, but Barry is 88 years old. But the Boz will be fun. Boz is a pretty good actor, has done well in those Dr. Pepper commercials. As we finish with the landing, the Brazos Landing, that's where we always finish. In fact, it's just Claude and Becky Lindsay. It was awesome the other day to be in that Bourbon Street bar. Go by, go see them. When you order that Bang Bang Shrimp, drop by and tell the Lindsays Mosley sent you. They need to know. That Mosley's sending quite a few people over there to dine at the Brazos Landing. And Scotty, one thing we'll do tomorrow, let's make sure we give away 2 free sandwiches to Schmaltz's. Schmaltz. The Schmaltz trivia question. Oh my gosh. In fact, I'm going to send, my daughter will be going through Waco tomorrow. I'm going to give her a $20 bill, and I'm going to tell her to stop and get Schmaltz's on the way. She's going to be riding with a friend to get down there to College Station. Well, if she go that way, maybe we'll send her through Waco. So that'll be good. But the Brazos Landing, we appreciate you. Scotty, last thing I'll leave you with. You know, I'm worried about the Big 12 being too good in basketball. You could usually count on like UCF and Oklahoma State and Utah and Colorado and some of these teams. I saw a deal today that the Big 12 put up, Scotty, and you may have seen this too, where 7 teams have won 9 of their first 10 games. 7 teams in the league. And I don't remember Arizona losing. I don't really remember BYU losing. They might have lost 1 game and they got to bond, so they're deeper than all get out. Right now, Baylor is being looked at by Joe Lunardi as the last 4 into the tournament. So Baylor's going to start conference kind of on the bubble. Now, as Pete said the other day, the great thing about the conference is it's so great that if you get close to 500 in this conference, you're going to get in the tournament. But it worries me to see teams like UCF and Colorado playing really good basketball, because those are supposed to be gimmies. Now, PJ Haggerty and Kansas State are playing better. That's not a great team. The other thing I saw, Scotty, on the Big 12, that unbelievable player for the Kansas Jayhawks, Darren Peterson, who maybe could go 1st or 2nd overall in the NBA draft. Bill Self thinks he's one of the best he's ever seen in all his years at Kansas. This kid it's like a hamstring. It's a calf strain maybe or something. There are people trying to say that this kid should shut it down. Now, for Baylor and for the Big 12, for other teams, that would be a great thing for him to shut it down. But for the fans, those of us who love seeing great basketball, this is horrible, because this is an athletic, unbelievably seasoned young guard who we need to watch. We need to get to see play. We need to get to see him when Kansas comes to Waco, if that is in fact happening. I think Baylor only gets 1 crack at Kansas, 2 cracks at U of H. By the way, I don't want 2 cracks at U of H. Could we just let everybody know that it's not even that great of a rivalry? We would prefer to only play once against U of H. Can I let anybody know that? Lord knows I hope we only play Arizona once. I think BYU is once, and that is in Waco, Texas. And that will be Rob Wright returning to the scene of the crime. Our freshman guard who we all fell in love with, and he left us at the altar to go become a Mormon and make the transition to the LDS Church, the Church of Latter-day Saints. It's a good group. I don't like their basketball coach, and I think he's a slime ball. But as a whole, I like the group. I like the Mormons. All right. Been a good one. Been a fast show. Those are the best shows. The best shows are the ones that feel like we're just kind of rolling through it. Thank you to the Twitter audience, large Twitter premium audience. Appreciate you guys being out there. A lot of you will watch the show sort of after we're through. That's great. Appreciate you guys doing that. Scotty's done good work, and appreciate Rogue Media Network. We will, and thanks to Zach Burke and Cam Stewart, who kind of work on post-production. All right. Cam's one of the better post-production guys you'll find. Although yesterday's, my comments on Dillingham, I got to talk to him about that. All right. I appreciate everybody who's been a part of this. We will see you tomorrow on Friday at 1 o'clock straight up. Good.